Captains of Industry, brought to you by Airtel.
Let's just get a sense of where Africa's at, where East Africa's at. Average growth rates forecast for 2011, 5 to 6% within the region. As you move further into East Africa, we spoke about regional integration. How are you going to be part of the solution? How are you going to be part of this opportune growth that is forecast to be in the region of 5 to 6%?
With our expansion into East Africa, our customers now have got a platform in which to expand and grow their business. East Africa, with in excess of 120 million people, provides a large market for business, and the economies, as you say, have been doing pretty well. The forecast growth rates upwards of 5% in each of these countries. Some going as high as 10% over the coming years. The realization, actually, among the politicians that economic growth is fundamental to dealing with some of the challenges that their populations are going through. High population growth, therefore the need to deal with issues of poverty and other social aspects that have got to be delivered. Right. So we see our role as KCB playing in this environment as one where we enable access by the population to financial services. We empower the peoples of the region to be able to look after themselves and build their business and build the social side as well of their business.
I'll tell you why I raised this question.
Right.
I know you've entered Southern Sudan. So here's a wonderful opportunity for potentially a country that's about to build itself up from scratch. And yet at the same time, the threats of war looming, and the estimated costs of civil war is $25 billion in losses for each member of the East African community, particularly Uganda and Kenya. So whilst there's opportunity, there's also something that could hold that opportunity back, and you've got to navigate through those murky waters.
We've been in Southern Sudan since about 2005, 2006, and actually this is one of the things that will go down into my records as one of the key achievements for me personally, because when I joined this bank 6 years ago in 2005, this was the first project that I dealt with, going into Southern Sudan and finding out whether there are opportunities for doing business there. So right from day one, an economy which virtually had nothing. And they just lost their hero, the first president, Garang. And KCB went in at that time, when nobody else believed that, that was an environment to go in. There were the risks there. But we saw the opportunity. And over the last 4 years, we've not been disappointed. We've seen the country grow step by step. Today, we have 15 branches in the country, one in each of the states, the 10 states there. A couple more in Juba, and that number is going to rise to 19 this year. We are very optimistic about the referendum, and we believe that the state will come out much stronger. And as it then joins East Africa, there's going to be a mad rush of everybody trying to go in there, because the potential is great. Great people, great country, lots of opportunities, very rich, natural resources throughout the country. The challenge of building the nation, of course, is there, and there will always be people trying to sort of, trip the whole process. But we are very optimistic. I think our experience over the last 4 years tells us that there's much more, and that economy could actually become the greatest economy in Eastern Africa if everything goes well. The risk of war, I talk to people from that country every day, including yesterday, and what they say to me is that they have now tasted the peace dividends, and nobody wants to go back to war. It gives a sense of confidence. But of course, everything is possible. What I know is that the international community, the regional community, is all very supportive of a peaceful transition into the state, and I do hope that this is going to help see that country through.
I mean, beyond the experience you've shared and the diplomatic answer you've just given, I heard a story about how you first entered southern Sudan and had to pitch a tent. You literally had to get to the groundstone, get your hands dirty, a bare knuckle experience. And as you see many other banks like the HSBCs wanting to come into Africa, are those the circumstances they're going to encounter? What sort of character do you need to be involved in those kinds of environments?
I think first of all you've got to be somebody who is ready to take some risk, you know, and in that environment, you know, you may lose, you may gain. You know, one of the stories I didn't talk about is going in there, and one of the things was that, you know, government then said, you know, put down $25 million of capital before you start. Now, in East Africa, you know, we've been starting banks with $3 million, and therefore to imagine that in a country which was just coming out of a war situation, they were looking for $25 million was quite a challenge, and it cost us patience and a lot of negotiation over 4 months to try and bring that amount of money down and spread it over a period of time, which we're able to do. So for investors in Africa, I mean, there are those who come and make quick gains, but actually one has got to get the philosophy that you are in there for the long term.
Yeah.
And if you're in there for the long term, then you are willing to take the risk, make the investment, be patient about it, and just go through. I mean, Southern Sudan is a typical example of a country where you go in and you start from scratch. I mean, there were no bankers, people who we could employ as bankers there. We started off with a troop of 20 Kenyans in there. Today we employ 200 people in Southern Sudan. 150 of them are Sudanese. We've been able to recruit, train, and develop, and now they're running the bank in their own country. And in the other countries, out of 200 guys average that we employ, less than 5 are Kenyan. The rest are locals. So we've been able to actually transfer skills over a period of time, which is one of the objectives of us and investments in those places.
You know, when you mention skills, you mention a perennial problem that exists all across the African continent, and it speaks to some of the social development problems we have. Just some statistics, for instance, in terms of what people encounter. 50% of Kenya's adult population, according to the central bank, has no access to financial services. So that's an opportunity. But it does speak to the limitations caused by inequalities, wealth and poverty, education, the rural-urban divide. And you've got to provide products for all the spectrum of people who exist in Africa, the potential investor, venture capitalist, versus the woman who's been putting her money under a mattress. How do you traverse?
Again, I think one of the strong points about KCB is that we have got a universal set of products, a very wide range of products and services. And so today we are both a corporate bank, because we provide services to large institutions, both governments and private sector and other public sector institutions. But we also provide, you know, a lot of products for the SME, the microcredit area, the mortgage side, which is one of our big growth areas, the card business. And through technology, we are now able to move money in and out, you know, small amounts of money, big amounts of money. And this is providing access right across. So if you talk about, you know, the lady selling her vegetables on the street, she can access banking products, you know, with her mobile. And one of the great things of technology is that today, you know, the mobile revolution means that virtually everybody has got a mobile phone, and the lady can actually move money between her mobile phone to a bank account and do whatever else that she wants to do with it. So we've been able, by having a wide array of products and services for both retail, corporate, you know, personal, everybody that you can think of, the youth, the age, through pension funds and our custody business, that we are able to then meet the needs of the various groups of people across. And we do carry our suite of products, you know, to whichever country we go to, and domesticate them depending on the needs of the various populations that we go to.
The reason I'm mentioning also some of these social dynamics is because obviously there's the KCB Foundation, which does a lot of the CSR work that you refer to, but you also sit on the international board of the SOS Children's Village, and that's quite important because the youth constitute the majority of the African population. They're also the most vulnerable, susceptible to a whole host of disease, educational limitations, poverty, unemployment. What do you make of where Africa's going as a continent?
I think the future is bright, Reto. I think what we've seen is that lessons have been learned right across. People have come from the pain of war. The diseases that have ravaged the continent, the unemployment, and the poverty, and people are looking for solutions. And Africans themselves are looking for solutions. At the SOS that you mentioned, I'm one of the two representatives of Africa, the other being Margaret Nkrumah of Ghana. And at the Senate of the SOS, we talk about the great need that there is on the continent and how this can be supported both externally and internally. What are we doing ourselves in the area of fundraising, in the area of enabling people to be self-sufficient and do things for themselves? What are we doing about the youth and addressing the issues around the youth? And I see that more and more, and in a sense some of it is actually forced on the continent. Because long time ago there used to be very easy monies coming in and donors coming and pouring money, some of which was not, a lot of which was not properly used. But today, as they pull out, and with the recent financial crisis, donors focusing their money elsewhere as well, Africans are saying, if nobody else is going to do it for us, if we don't do it for ourselves. So there's a self-determination, both from governments. You see that governments are now spending a lot of money in the social sector, in health, in education, in road networks, communications, etc. All of it to enable the citizens to lift themselves up from poverty. Now, as I said at the start, this is not an overnight solution. It's going to take a bit of time, but we're on the right path. In this bank, we've got our motto is making a difference. I'd like to be remembered as that person who, made his contribution, which made a difference in the institutions where he worked and in the lives of the people that he came across, on the social side, on the business side, in the public sector, and in the communities in which I operate.
And hopefully you'll be playing golf again, because you said you've stopped playing golf because you're so overwhelmed by banking.
You see, you've got to really focus, find out what is it that is really important at that particular time, and focus on it, deliver the results. Then you can always go back to things that you can catch up with. I've seen people taking up golf in their 60s. So,
You'll be one of those.
Well, it will be sooner than that. But
Thank you so much to you, Martin Oduor-Otieno, the CEO of KCB, giving us a philosophy about leading a 21st century bank through investments in technology, but more importantly, through investments in his people, believing that the talent of Africa is raw, it's robust, and through technical input you can refine the thinking, run a well-managed institution, inspire a people, bring the money back home, and allow people to stand up for themselves. Those are the views of the CEO of KCB, the largest bank in East Africa, probing the hearts and minds of this captain of industry.